8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Romesh Piris and read by Indrani Senanayaka. The headlines. The Iranian President to inaugurate the Uma Oya Multipurpose Development Project. The Secretary-General of the Bay of BIMSTEC visits Sri Lanka. Special train services deployed for post-New Year commuters returning to Colombo. 10 deaths reported from road accidents within 24 hours. Vehicle import restrictions to be lifted only after a thorough analysis. Dengue cases for 2024 top 21,000. The police launch investigations into murders of the Serunuwara and Kalewala areas. In international news, Western allies call on Israel to avoid escalation of Iran attack. In sports news, Mumbai Indians skipper Pandya attributes Matisha Patirana's bowling to his team's 20-run defeat in the IPL. The Uma Oya Multipurpose Development Project is poised to be officially handed over to the public on the 24th of April by the Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi. The State Minister of Irrigation and Water Supply, Shasendra Rajapaksa, today said that the Iranian President is slated to visit Sri Lanka next week to declare open the massive project. The Uma Oya Multipurpose Development Project is poised for a grand inauguration jointly led by Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi and President Ranil Wickremesinghe. In the year 2011, the ambitious Uma Oya Multipurpose Project embarked on its journey, initially supported by a loan from the Export Development Bank of Iran. At its core, the project aimed to contribute 120 megawatts of electricity to the national power grid. Beyond power generation, the Uma Oya initiative addressed critical needs in agriculture and drinking water supply. Ambassador Indra Mani Pandey, Secretary-General of BIMSTEC, visited Sri Lanka earlier this month following his assumption of office as Secretary-General of the BIMSTEC in January this year. During the visit, Secretary-General Pandey held discussions with Secretary Minister of Foreign Affairs Aruni Vijayawardena and paid courtesy calls on the President and Minister of Foreign Affairs. The Secretary-General also met with senior officials of relevant ministries to discuss measures to enhance regional cooperation under various BIMSTEC initiatives. Secretary-General Pandey participated at an interactive event on regional cooperation through BIMSTEC organized by the Lakshman Kadaragamar Institute. State Minister of Finance Ranjit Singh Balapitiya says a committee has been appointed to look into the lifting of import restrictions imposed on vehicles. Speaking to the reporters today, the State Minister of Finance emphasized that measures will be taken to gradually relax the import restrictions on vehicles in parallel to the increase of foreign reserves within the country. Commenting further, the Finance State Minister said measures have been taken to gradually relax import restrictions and will continue to ease these restrictions as necessary. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation, and we continue with local news. According to the police, a total of 10 individuals died in 8 fatal road accidents reported from several police areas within the last 2 days. The accidents, mostly involving motorbikes and three-wheelers, have been reported from Tharmalwila, Matara, Pugoda, Ambalantota, Kirindwala, Mahiyanganaya, Haliella and the Pusallava police areas. The Sri Lanka police announced that investigations have been launched by the respective police stations regarding the murders that took place on the 14th and the 15th of April at Hakmana, Aliyapattuwa, Serunuwara and Kalewala areas. Issuing a statement, the police media division said that it was observed that the relevant crimes have taken place due to personal disputes. Preliminary investigations revealed that the suspects of these incidents were under the influence of alcohol. That ends the local segment of news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala.
In a bid to accommodate the influx of commuters returning to Colombo after celebrating the Sinhala and Tamil New Year holidays, the Railways Department has announced the commencement of special train services effective last evening. According to N.J. Indipolage, the Deputy General Manager of the Sri Lanka Railways, 8 additional train journeys will be operational from key stations including Badulla, Galle and Beliatta, facilitating the smooth return of travellers to Colombo Fort. Furthermore, the Department of Railways assures the public that regular office train services will resume as scheduled from tomorrow. Meanwhile, the National Transport Commission has announced the commencement of special bus services effective from today till tomorrow for people to return to Colombo after the Sinhala and Tamil New Year holidays.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala.
According to the Epidemiology Unit, the tally of dengue cases recorded for 2024 has topped the 21,000 mark. As of April the 13th, a total of 21,028 cases have been reported in 2024, with the highest number being from the Colombo district, which stood at 4,527. The Western Province has recorded 7,547 cases, the highest province-wise, while the month of April has also logged 989 dengue cases. As several parts in Sri Lanka have experienced significant rainfall for the past few days, health officials urge people to keep their surroundings clean and destroy mosquito breeding places in order to keep dengue at bay.
Coming up, World News.
First, the headlines. Western allies call on Israel to avoid escalation after Iran attack. Bishop attacked during sermon in Sydney. Young no-cells may help children fight off COVID. Israel's allies have urged it to avoid any escalation as it considers a response to Iran's unprecedented missile and drone attack. Tehran launched more than 300 projectiles at Israel on Saturday in what it said was retaliation for a strike on its consulate in Syria. Germany's Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock called for calm. President Emmanuel Macron says France will do everything possible to avoid a regional conflagration. The UK Foreign Secretary David Cameron said Israel should be smart as well as tough. The UN continues to warn that famine is imminent in parts of Gaza. A bishop and several other people have been stabbed during a sermon in Sydney that was being streamlined. The incident reportedly happened on Monday night in the suburb of Wakeley. Police responded to reports that a number of people had been stabbed, but said none of their injuries were life-threatening. They added that a man had been arrested and was helping with their inquiries. It was also not immediately clear what weapon was used in the attack, which is reported to have happened at the Christ the Good Shepherd Church. The stabbing comes days after people were killed at a shopping mall in the same city. The attacker was later shot dead by a police officer. Children are less likely than adults to develop severe COVID because cells in their nose are better at fighting off the virus, the study suggests. Lab tests show aging adult nose cells contain 100 times more virus in the first few days after an infection. The lab discovery could explain why older adults are hit worst by COVID and children are rarely very ill. The UK researchers say antiviral treatments should be tailored to different age groups. Dr. Claire Smith, study leader and associate professor from University College London, said age affected the balance of cells in the nose, leading to a detrimental dysfunctional repair process in older people. To end this bulletin of world news, the headlines again. Western allies call on Israel to avoid escalation after Iran attack. Bishop attacked during sermon in Sydney. Young nose cells may help children fight off COVID. And that ends this bulletin of world news. We now take a look at development news. The Asian Development Bank has approved a $100 million loan to provide small and medium-sized enterprises in Sri Lanka more access to finance and to build their resilience to external shocks such as the economic crisis and climate change. According to an ADB senior financial sector specialist Manohari Gunawardena, SMEs play a critical role in Sri Lanka's economy, contributing 52% to the country's gross domestic product and employs 45% of the population. ADB, through participating financial institutions, will open a $50 million line of credit for underserviced SMEs in the export, tourism, technology, agriculture and manufacturing sectors.
Moving on with sports news.
Mumbai Indians skipper Hardik Pandey attributed his team's 20-run defeat in match 29 of the Indian Premier League at the Wankhede Stadium to Chennai Super Kings impact substitute Sri Lankan pace Mathisha Pathirana. Pathirana's impressive spell of 4 for 28 in 4 overs turned the tide, disrupting Mumbai's momentum after a strong start at 70 for no loss in the 8th over.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life ekේ change eකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Sri Lankan Airlines, the exclusive ground operator at the Bandaranaike International Airport, has initiated a phased upgrade of airport ground support equipment to accommodate the rising influx of flights and travellers transiting through the airport. Recently, the airline acquired 3 state-of-the-art passenger apron coaches, ensuring optimal comfort for passengers during transfers between the terminal and remote stands. With airport traffic steadily increasing and nearing pre-pandemic levels, acquiring modern ground support equipment has become an urgent priority for Sri Lankan Airlines. This investment aims to ensure a seamless end-to-end travel experience for customers.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life ekේ change eකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
We now take a look at economic news. The Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe says that Sri Lanka's inflation is expected to lower than initially projected in 2024 despite a value-added tax hike following 50 basis point cut rate in March this year. Dr. Veerasinghe explained that projections were factored in the VAT increase in January and some of the short-term food price increases that were seen in December and January. Hence, as a result, inflation outcome had been much lower than we expected, he added.
Weather report.
And finally, we take a look at the weather report. The Natural Hazards Early Warning Centre has issued a warning of severe lightning in several provinces. According to the warning, thunder showers accompanied by severe lightning are likely to occur at several places in the western, central, Sabragama, Uva and northwestern provinces and in the Anuradhapura, Mannar-Gaul and Matara districts. It also stated that there may be temporary localized strong winds during thunder showers. The general public is requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damage caused by lightning. Meanwhile, the Met Department advises that people should seek shelter preferably indoors and never under trees, avoid open areas such as paddy fields, tea plantations and open water bodies during thunderstorms. storms. Avoid using wired telephones and connected electric appliances during thunderstorms, and refrain from using open vehicles such as bicycles, tractors and boats. Beware of fallen trees and power lines. For emergency assistance, contact the local disaster management authorities. To end tonight's news broadcast, we take a look at the headlines again. The Iranian president to inaugurate the Umma Oil Multipurpose Development Project. The Secretary General of the Bay of BIMSTEC visits Sri Lanka. Special train services deployed for post-New Year commuters returning to Colombo. 10 deaths reported from road accidents within 24 hours. Vehicle import restrictions to be lifted only after a thorough analysis. Dengue cases for 2024 top 21,000. The police launch investigations into murders in the Serunuvara and Kaliwala areas. In foreign news, Western allies call on Israel to avoid escalation after Iran attack. And in sports news, Mumbai Indians skipper Pandey attributes Matisha Pathirana's bowling to his team's 20-run defeat in the IPL. That ends tonight's news broadcast. The time a minute after 9 o'clock. This is Radio Sri Lanka.